The Galactic Assembly's central command room fell into stunned silence, broken only by the relentless ringing of alarms. Across the vast network of sensors scanning the Orient sector, an anomaly pulsed, a fracture in the fabric of space-time that no theory, no species, no science could explain. The sector was a cosmic fortress, a place of old treaties and enforced neutrality. To see a rift open, there was a violation of every law and expectation. "Impossible," whispered Carlton, the Zindari admiral, staring at the trembling holographic map. The rip shimmered like a wound in reality itself, glowing with eerie violet energy. Then, in a flash of blinding light, the rupture collapsed, replaced by the unmistakable shape of a ship. Angular and battered, its hull was a patchwork of plates, scarred by unknown battles. No registry, no markings of alliance, and no sign of origin. It simply was. The room held its breath. "Open a channel," demanded Commander Erisfel, but static was the only reply. As the seconds ticked by, the unease grew. No species in known space had ever ventured this deep into dimensional physics, let alone survived to send a ship through. The Assembly's greatest minds scrambled for answers. "What do they want?" murmured Lena, the Vesheri diplomat, her voice trembling. Who could exist where none anticipated? Across the galaxy, governments shifted uneasily. Rumors bloomed in shadowed corners. "The old Nightwalkers are back," said some, naming an extinct human warrior clan lost to myth. Others spoke of new predators, invaders from beyond. In the assembly chamber, the Grand Speaker's voice cut through the tension. "Prepare an envoy. We must meet these strangers and demand answers." Meanwhile, aboard the mysterious vessel, a quiet woman stood alone on the bridge, her eyes scanning the galactic charts with a cold calculation. Captain Ines Rourke had led humanity's greatest expedition into the void, beyond the edge of the known universe, through dimensional rifts formed during humanity's long exile. "We've waited a long time for this," she murmured, voice low but steady. Behind her, the crew moved silently, each carrying the weight of forgotten wars and a survival instinct honed across centuries. In the vast emptiness beyond, humanity had endured. Now they had returned, not as refugees, not as conquerors, but as the last line of defense against a darkness the galaxy had forgotten. The Assembly's envoy ship accelerated toward the Gravedigger with a mix of fear and curiosity, unaware that the humans had already prepared for war or salvation. As the two ships closed in, a new chapter began, one that would change the fate of every star, every species, every living being in the universe. Because when humans arrive where none anticipated, fear grips the stars themselves. In the depths of the Galactic Assembly's grand archives, a lone figure worked beneath the flickering hololights. The archivist Sarnath was one of the few bold enough, some would say reckless, to question the sanitized histories the Assembly so carefully preserved. Tonight, she pursued the most forbidden data of all: Earth. The planet was marked lost, erased, purged from official star charts after a cataclysmic event centuries ago. The galaxy's memory of Earth was a ghost story, an extinct world once home to an aggressive, unpredictable species. But now, with humanity's ship standing ominously in the Orient sector, the whispers grew louder. Zarnath's claws flew over the holo interface, bypassing firewalls older than most empires. Files came to life. Cracked transmissions, battle logs, desperate pleas. Her eyes widened as she decrypted a recording, its scratchy audio carrying the voice of a human commander from a time long past. "The Devourer swarm approaches from the void. We have nowhere left to run. If you hear this, remember, we fought to the last breath." The Devourer swarm, a name etched in galactic nightmares, a ravenous enemy of all life, supposedly vanquished or driven into oblivion millennia ago. Zarnath's heart hammered. This was more than a history lesson. It was a warning. A sudden alert pulled her back, a live feed from the Gravedigger. The human ship was scanning the assembly fleet, its instruments probing with cold precision. The humans did not speak the galactic lingua franca. Their dialect was archaic, broken, filled with harsh consonants and clipped tones, yet their message was clear. They had returned from beyond the edge of known space, carrying the weight of forgotten wars and new threats. In the Assembly's war room, the mood darkened. Diplomats debated in urgent tones, but no one dared underestimate humanity's resolve or the dread they brought. How could they have survived? Demanded Senator Valros, his voice shaking. Earth was quarantined after the Great Collapse. They were lost to the void. The old legends whispered of humanity's final act, breaking through dimensions, disappearing into the cosmic abyss rather than succumb to extinction. Now, with the humans back, those legends gained terrifying clarity. In a hidden corner of the assembly, an old historian whispered to herself, "They never left. They waited. They prepared." The implications rippled outward. Across countless worlds, ships increased patrols. Old alliances were reconsidered. The galaxy realized its fragile peace had been built on half-truths and forgotten horrors. Meanwhile, aboard the Gravedigger, Captain Rourke stared at the holographic projection of the Assembly's fleets arrayed before her. The weight of millennia pressed down, but her voice was steady. "We don't come as conquerors. We come as reminders. The Devourer's shadow has never left, and soon it will be upon you all." Outside the ship's thick armor, the stars gleamed cold and distant. But beneath them, a storm was gathering. The galaxy's fate hung on the return of a species thought extinct, and the secrets buried deep in their bones. The Galactic Assembly's envoy ship glided silently alongside the human vessel. Gravedigger, it tall, jagged and scarred, was a stark contrast to the sleek, polished ships of the galaxy's most powerful factions. The silence inside the human ship was even more unsettling. Commander Eris Vel, leading the envoy, stepped cautiously onto the Gravedigger's bridge, flanked by his diverse team of diplomats and officers. The room was dimly lit, the air humming faintly with energy they couldn't quite place. Before them stood Captain Ines Rourke, tall, lean, and resolute. Her dark eyes scanned the delegation, unreadable and cold. "Who governs this region of space?" she asked, her voice low but commanding. "And what debt do they owe to those who were forgotten?" The envoy exchanged uncertain glances. No one had expected such an opening, nor such a question steeped in mystery and accusation. "We are the Galactic Assembly," Commander Vel replied cautiously. "A coalition of many species, dedicated to peace and order." Rourke's gaze didn't waver. Order built on forgetting. Peace bought with ignorance. That ends now. The humans did not elaborate. Instead, they watched with patient intensity as the Assembly's envoys processed the weight behind those words. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the Gravedigger. Sensors detected an approaching fleet. Velari warships, infamous for their pride and aggression, moving to challenge the human vessel. "We have been waiting for this," Captain Rourke said quietly, almost mournfully. The Assembly's delegates tensed. Velari ships were known for their brutal efficiency and willingness to ignite conflict at the slightest provocation. "Captain," Commander Vel said, "we urge restraint. We came to negotiate." Rourke's crew moved with practiced precision. Soldiers armed with sleek, unfamiliar weapons took positions. Engineers monitored systems that defied the envoy's understanding, shields flickering with colors unseen, energy signatures beyond known physics. The Velari fleet opened fire, expecting to overwhelm the humans quickly. But the Gravedigger responded with terrifying speed. Energy pulses erupted, not in violent explosions, but precise disruptions. One by one, the Velari ships went dark, communications cut, engines disabled, systems frozen. No debris, no carnage, just silence. The Assembly's delegation watched in disbelief. "What weapon is this?" whispered Lena, the Vesheri diplomat. Captain Rourke's voice cut through the tension, calm and measured. "A weapon born from survival, not slaughter." The Velari fleet withdrew, their commanders shaken. The galaxy had underestimated the humans. In the aftermath, the assembly envoys convened in whispered meetings. Fear was palpable. The humans had not only survived where none thought possible, they had mastered war in ways no one understood. Yet the humans did not press for conquest or submission. They offered something else, a warning. Captain Rourke addressed the assembly's envoy before departing. "You have forgotten the darkness that stalks beyond your stars. We came not to conquer, but to prepare you for the storm to come." As the gravedigger drifted away, the silence it left behind was heavier than any battle cry. In the laboratories of the Zindari homeworld, scientists gathered around a glowing bioscanner, their antennae twitching in disbelief. The genetic samples taken from the humans aboard Gravedigger revealed anomalies that shattered every known law of biology. Dr. Chill's voice was barely a whisper as he addressed the Assembly's council via holocom. Their DNA contains layered memories, genetic imprints of battles fought, of tactics executed, even emotions experienced, all encoded in their neural strands. The room fell silent, every species' representatives grappling with the revelation. It wasn't just evolution. It was warfare written into flesh and bone. For the Zindari, who valued strategy above all else, this was terrifying. These humans weren't simply survivors. They were living weapons, perfected by countless wars that no one else remembered. Meanwhile, aboard the Gravedigger, Captain Rourke stood on the bridge, observing her crew. Every soldier, engineer, and pilot bore marks of the ancient conflict hidden deep within their cells. Their bodies healed faster, their minds adapted quicker, and their instincts were honed sharper than any aliens. The young human surgeon, Lieutenant Mara, adjusted her neural interface. She reflected on her own memories, flashes of battles on dead worlds, the screams of comrades, the cold logic of sacrifice. These memories were not hers alone. They were collective, passed down through generations like an unbroken chain. Back in the assembly, fear turned to uneasy respect. If humans remembered the devourer swarm's terror, perhaps only they could stand against it again. But the biological edge came with a cost. The humans' memories were a double-edged sword, painful, relentless echoes that drove their relentless will to survive and fight. Some whispered about the madness lurking beneath the surface, about the scars no science could erase. Zindari Commander Carlton leaned forward, eyes narrowed. Their memory is a weapon and a curse. As the Gravedigger prepared for the inevitable confrontation with the Villari and other skeptical factions, the humans' silent resolve became legend. They moved with a precision born of shared pain and relentless practice. The galaxy watched, fascinated and afraid. Why do they not speak more? Wondered Lena, the Vesheri diplomat. Why such quiet before the storm? Captain Rourke's answer was simple when she finally spoke at the assembly's gathering. Because we carry the past in our blood, and it whispers of what will come. And in the cold darkness beyond, the rift pulsed once more, a heartbeat of impending doom. The Villari fleet hung like a dark cloud over the Orient sector, their sleek warships gleaming with arrogance and lethal intent. Proud and ruthless, the Villari had ruled contested space with an iron fist for centuries, and now they saw the humans as a challenge to their supremacy. Admiral Sorkath stood on the bridge of the flagship Vigilant Fury, eyes burning with contempt as the Gravedigger drifted silently ahead. "These humans," he spat, "are an insult to the Assembly's peace. Let them learn the price of defiance." Orders were given, and weapons primed. The Villari opened fire. Searing plasma blasts tore through the void, aiming to cripple the human ship in a display of power. But the Gravedigger did not panic. Without warning, a shockwave of energy radiated outward, but not as expected. Instead of explosions and destruction, the Villari ship's systems began to falter, engines stuttering, weapons going dark, communications dying mid-broadcast. One by one, the Villari fleet fell silent, their ships frozen in space like statues. The assembly envoys watched in stunned silence as the Gravedigger emitted no triumphant roar, no threat. It simply held position, the calm eye in a storm of sudden stillness. Admiral Sorkath clenched his fists, fury and disbelief warring in his mind. What manner of weapon is this? Commander Vel turned to Captain Rourke, who remained composed. It's not a weapon meant to kill, she said quietly. It's a lesson. Across the galaxy, news of the Velari's swift and painless defeat spread like wildfire. Mercenaries ceased raids, warlords reconsidered campaigns, and pirate bands melted away into hiding. For the first time, the galaxy saw humanity's warcraft, not as reckless violence, but as an unyielding force balanced with restraint. The humans had shown what they were capable of, but they had chosen mercy. Inside the Gravedigger, Captain Rourke addressed her crew in the dim light of the command deck. Our fight is not with them, yet. It is with what follows. The galaxy must be ready. Outside, the stars blinked cold and indifferent, but the message was clear. Humanity had returned, and their power was unlike anything the galaxy had ever known. Back at the assembly, discussions shifted rapidly. Some saw humanity as potential saviors. Others whispered of new threats that might rise from the dark. Senator Valro's voice echoed through the chambers. If these humans remember what we have forgotten, then we must listen and prepare. The galaxy held its breath. The Velari strike had failed, but it had awakened something far greater. A storm was coming. The Grand Assembly Hall was packed beyond capacity, species from every corner of the galaxy gathering in uneasy alliance. The air thrummed with tension, thick with questions and unspoken fears. Humanity had arrived with power, but more importantly, with knowledge. Captain Inez Rourke stood at the center, projected in holographic clarity for all to see. Her voice was steady, carrying across the chamber. We bring no demands for conquest, she began, no pleas for power or dominion. Instead, we bring truth. The truth you forgot, and the threat you ignored. A murmur rippled through the delegates. Rourke continued. The rift you detected, the one through which we returned, is not merely a gateway. It is a beacon, a call that has drawn the Devourer Swarm back into your space. Gasps filled the room. The Devourer Swarm, the cosmic nightmare that had nearly erased humanity in the ancient wars, was returning. Rourke's eyes swept the chamber. We did not forget. We lived, fought, and adapted. And now we offer you the knowledge to do the same. A holographic projection flickered to life behind her, displaying complex diagrams of entropy fields, dimensional anchors, and asymmetrical warfare tactics. The scientists and strategists among the assembly leaned forward, captivated despite themselves. Traditional warfare will fail, Rourke warned. The Devourer Swarm is not a fleet to be destroyed by firepower alone. It consumes realities, adapts beyond your weapons, and corrodes your defenses from within. Her words were not empty warnings. She unveiled technologies humans had resurrected from forgotten science. Dimensional stabilizers that could close rifts, neural networks that simulated centuries of battles in moments, and biological augmentations that enhanced resilience beyond organic limits. The galaxy must unite, not as factions, but as one organism, if it is to survive. The assembly's leaders debated heatedly afterward. Some resisted, wary of humanity's motives. Others saw wisdom in their words. The ancient grudges seemed small compared to the looming storm. Lina, the Vesheri diplomat, approached Rourke privately. You speak of unity and survival. But trust is fragile, Captain. How do we know humanity's past will not become the galaxy's future? Rourke's gaze was unwavering. Because we remember the price of failure. Because we do not intend to be the darkness, but the light. Behind the scenes, human engineers worked alongside alien scientists, sharing data streams that bridged millennia and worlds. Slowly, a fragile alliance began to form, based on necessity and a shared fear. Yet, deep in the shadows, forces stirred, pirates who thrived in chaos, factions that preferred war over peace. The knowledge humanity brought was powerful, but it also threatened the old order. As the rift's pulse grew stronger once more, the galaxy braced. Humanity had returned not to rule, but to prepare. And the universe would never be the same. The rift pulsed with a growing hunger, a heartbeat of darkness beating faster with every passing moment. From the shadows beyond the known universe, the devourer swarm emerged, an unholy mass of bone and metal, writhing with cold intelligence and relentless hunger. The ancient nightmare had returned. The Galactic Assembly scrambled to organize fleets, but centuries of division left them fractured and slow. Yet the humans aboard Gravedigger moved swiftly, coordinating battle plans and training alien crews in forgotten tactics that defied conventional war. Captain Ina's Orcs stood on the command bridge, eyes locked on the shifting swarm outside the viewport. "This is no longer a war of ships," she said quietly. "It's a war for survival." Across the sector, a coalition fleet formed, a fragile alliance of Zindari warlords, Veshari tacticians, and Velari defectors, all under human strategic command. Fleets shimmered with newly integrated technology: dimensional stabilizers, rapid response drones, bio-enhanced soldiers, and mural-linked commanders. The first strike was brutal. The devourer swarm attacked like a tidal wave of destruction, devouring entire outposts and warships with terrifying speed. Their vessels shifted shape, evolving mid-battle, adapting to every tactic thrown against them. But humanity's unconventional methods caught them off guard. Small, nimble squads of human and alien fighters infiltrated the swarm's high ships, planting dimensional disruptors that fragmented the enemy's structure from within. Neural command hubs were hacked, turning parts of the swarm against itself. In the chaos, the Gravedigger led a daring assault through the heart of the rift, aiming to seal the gateway before more horrors spilled through. The battle was desperate, with heavy losses on all sides. Yet the coalition held, united by the humans' unyielding resolve and hard-won knowledge. Amid the carnage, a young Velari pilot, Jektar, marveled at the humans' grit. They carry centuries of pain and victory in their veins. They fight not for glory, but for the future. Captain Rourke's voice crackled over the comms. "Hold your ground. Remember why we fight. This galaxy is worth everything." As the rift began to close, the devourer swarm's mass retreated, torn between dimensions, and prey to human ingenuity. The victory was costly, but decisive. For the first time in eons, the galaxy glimpsed hope. Yet, the battle had revealed something more, a deeper darkness lurking beyond even the swarm's hunger. Humanity had saved the stars this day, but their mission was far from over. The universe had awakened to the price of forgetting and the fierce light of those who remember. The rift's collapse was not a quiet event. It was a roaring, convulsing maelstrom of light and shadow, tearing the fabric of space as the last of the devourer swarm slipped back into the void. Captain Ina's Rourke stood on the Gravedigger's bridge, watching as the unnatural wound in reality sealed shut. Around her, the coalition fleet held formation, battered but victorious. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was free from the immediate shadow of extinction. The assembly hall buzzed with relief and exhaustion. Delegates from countless worlds stood united, their old rivalries softened by the fires of battle. The humans, once feared and mistrusted, had become the unexpected heart of a fragile but growing alliance. Senator Valros approached Rourke after the Victory Council, his tone solemn. "You came as strangers, wielding the power of forgotten wars. Now you stand as the guardians of our future. How do you envision this new era?" Rourke met his gaze steadily. "Not as rulers, but as partners. We carry the weight of our past, yes, but also the hope that knowledge and unity can prevent the darkness from ever returning." Across the galaxy, celebrations erupted. Temples lit in Veshari, songs sung on Velari worlds, and quiet memorials held on the battered battlefields. The victory was a shared one, but so was the cost. Lives lost, worlds scared, futures uncertain. Still, hope shone brighter than fear. On the Gravedigger, the crew prepared for their next mission. There were other rifts to find, other threats lurking beyond the stars. The galaxy's safety depended on vigilance. Lieutenant Mara, the young surgeon, looked up from her medical console and caught Rourke's eye. "What now, Captain?" Rourke smiled, a rare, soft expression. "Now, we build, not just fleets or weapons, but trust. We teach the galaxy to remember, to fight not with hatred, but with purpose." As the Gravedigger slipped into hyperspace, its engines a quiet promise, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. The humans had arrived where none anticipated, and in doing so, they had changed the universe forever. The dawn of a new era had come. But somewhere deep in the cosmos, beyond the sealed rift, something stirred, an echo of the devourer swarm, a shadow of the darkness yet to come. The story was far from over.